Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because the baseball world just exploded, and we need to talk about what might be the most ironic, most embarrassing, and most perfectly timed piece of news to drop this entire offseason. Max Kepler, the former Philadelphia Phillies outfielder who spent 2025 stinking up Citizens Bank Park with one of the most forgettable seasons in recent memory, just got slapped with an 80-game suspension. Not for fighting, not for arguing with an umpire, not even for violating team rules. No, no, no. This is the big one, folks. Performance-enhancing drugs, specifically something called epitrenbolone. And if you're wondering what that is, just know it's the kind of substance that gets you banned for half a season and ruins whatever reputation you had left in this league. 80 games, people. Let that number sink into your brain for a moment. We're not discussing a minor league rehab assignment or a couple weeks on the injured list with a pulled hamstring. We're talking about a player who decided to roll the dice on his entire career, who chose to risk everything by putting illegal substances into his body, and somehow still managed to be absolutely terrible at baseball. This is the part where you have to laugh just to keep yourself from crying, especially if you're a Phillies fan who had to watch this train wreck unfold in real time last season. Think about this logically for just a second. Max Kepler played the entire 2025 season in a Phillies uniform. He took up roster space. He occupied a spot in the outfield that could have gone to literally anyone else. He stepped into the batter's box hundreds of times wearing the red pinstripes. And what did he give us in return? A pathetic OPS of 691. 691. That's below league average, folks. That's replacement level production at best. And here's the kicker that makes this whole situation absolutely mind-blowing. If he was already using performance-enhancing drugs while putting up those garbage numbers in Philadelphia, what on earth would his stats look like if he were clean? Would he even be able to make contact with a baseball? Would he be relegated to AAA? Would he be out of professional baseball entirely? The mental image alone is terrifying. This man allegedly cheated, put his entire livelihood on the line, stained whatever reputation he had built over his career, and still couldn't crack a respectable batting line. It's insulting to the game. It's insulting to the fans who paid good money to watch him strike out in crucial situations. It's insulting to every clean player grinding away in the minor leagues who would kill for an opportunity to play at the major league level. Max Kepler had that opportunity, allegedly decided to cheat to try and keep it, and still failed spectacularly. That's not just embarrassing. That's a whole new level of pathetic that we rarely see in professional sports. Now let's talk about timing, because this is where the story gets absolutely delicious from a Phillies perspective. The offseason market has been moving at a glacial pace. Teams are hesitant to spend. Free agents are sitting unsigned well into January. Big names are still available, and front offices across baseball are playing a game of chicken, waiting for someone else to blink first and set the market. It's been one of the slowest, most frustrating off seasons in recent memory for fans who just want to see their teams improve and make moves. Enter Dave Dombrowski, the Phillies president of baseball operations, who took an absolute beating from the fan base last year for some of his decisions. People questioned his moves. They criticized his signings. They wondered if he had lost his touch. But today, right now, with this Max Kepler news confirmed by respected baseball insider Alden Gonzalez, Dombrowski looks like an absolute genius. Why? Because by not bringing Kepler back, by letting him walk away into free agency without even a token offer to return, the Phillies dodged what could have been a franchise-crippling disaster. Imagine the nightmare scenario that almost happened. Picture this. The market for elite outfielders like Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker gets too expensive for the Phillies' liking. The team needs outfield depth. Spring training is approaching. The front office is getting desperate, looking around for options. And someone in that room says, you know what? Max Kepler already knows our clubhouse. He knows our coaches. He understands our system. He's a veteran. Let's bring him back on a cheap one-year deal just to have a warm body available. Can you imagine if that conversation had actually happened? Can you imagine if the Phillies had re-signed this guy? The team would be stuck right now with a player who cannot set foot on a major league field until sometime around July. Assuming the suspension clock starts when the season begins, they would have wasted a roster spot, wasted money, and most importantly, wasted precious time that could have been used to find a legitimate solution. Instead, Kepler is someone else's problem now, or more likely nobody's problem, because who in their right mind is going to touch a 32-year-old declining outfielder coming off a terrible season who also happens to be suspended for half the year for PED use? The answer is probably nobody. And the Phillies are sitting pretty because they avoided this catastrophe entirely. But wait, there's more. This story gets even better when you look at what's happening with the Phillies' division rivals, the New York Mets, that team we love to hate, that organization that always seems to be one step behind despite spending money like it's going out of style. They are in an absolute panic right now. They just traded away Brandon Nimmo, one of their everyday outfielders. They're watching the free agent market dry up before their eyes. They needed bodies, any bodies, to fill out their outfield picture. And Max Kepler was exactly the type of player they were probably targeting. A veteran left-handed bat who had experience, who wouldn't cost much money, who could serve as a reliable fourth outfielder or platoon option. He was the perfect plan B, maybe even plan C for the Mets. He checked all their boxes: experienced, affordable, available. Now that option has completely evaporated. Kepler won't be available until the summer, and by then the Mets will have already had to scramble to find alternatives. What are they going to do now? Overpay for a mediocre player just because they're desperate? Promote kids from their farm system who aren't ready for prime time? Watch their outfield situation implode during the crucial first half of the season? Meanwhile, the Phillies are sitting comfortably with Jesus Luzardo already on the roster. Wait, I need to correct that. The Phillies have Weston Wilson and other options locked down, players they've acquired who will actually be available when the season starts. Now, let's be completely honest here. Not every acquisition is perfect. Some players are going to strike out at times that make you want to throw your remote through the television. They're going to have stretches where nothing seems to go right at the plate. They're going to frustrate you as a fan. But you know what these players bring to the table that Max Kepler apparently cannot? Availability, reliability, the knowledge that they're actually going to be on the field when the season starts. They're not getting letters from Major League Baseball informing them that they failed a drug test. They're not serving a suspension. They're not damaged goods. Let's dig deeper into just how catastrophic this situation is for Max Kepler personally. The man is 32 years old, which in baseball years means he's already on the wrong side of his athletic prime. Players at that age are supposed to be using their experience and baseball IQ to compensate for declining physical tools. They're supposed to be crafty veterans who know how to work counts, who understand pitchers, who can still contribute even as their bodies start to betray them. Instead, Kepler just completed one of the worst statistical seasons of his entire career in 2025. And now he has this permanent black mark on his record that will follow him for the rest of his life. Who in their right mind is going to sign a declining 32-year-old outfielder who can't play until July and who apparently needed chemical assistance just to try to remain relevant in the big leagues? What team is going to look at that resume and think it's worth the risk? What general manager is going to walk into his owner's office and say, hey, I know this guy is old, bad, and a cheater, but hear me out? It's career suicide, both for the player and for any executive foolish enough to take a chance on him. Max Kepler's days in Major League Baseball might have just ended right before our eyes. And honestly, after what Phillies fans had to endure watching him last season, it's hard to muster up much sympathy. Because here's the thing that every Philadelphia fan remembers crystal clear from 2025. We saw it. We saw the lack of energy in the outfield. We saw the weak at-bats in crucial situations. We saw a player who looked like he didn't want to be there, like he was going through the motions, like the fire had gone out. Philadelphia fans are not stupid. This is not a casual fan base that shows up to the ballpark just for the hot dogs and beer. These are knowledgeable, passionate, demanding fans who know baseball inside and out. We can tell when a player is giving maximum effort and when something is off. We can sense when a guy is battling through adversity versus when he's just mailing it in. Now we know what was off with Max Kepler. He was trying to take a shortcut. He was looking for an easy answer to his declining skills. He wanted a chemical boost to help him compete. And even with that alleged advantage, he still took the wrong path and failed miserably. That's the most damning part of this entire saga. The cheating itself is bad enough, a violation of the rules and a betrayal of the fans in the game, but to cheat and still be terrible, that's almost impressive in its awfulness. It's like studying for a test with all the answers written on your hand and still failing. There's no excuse for it, and there's no coming back from it. The free agent market this offseason has been absolutely brutal for players. Teams are being more careful with their money. Analytics departments are scrutinizing every dollar spent. The days of throwing massive contracts at aging veterans just because of name recognition are largely over. In this environment, you cannot afford to make mistakes. You cannot afford to have red flags on your record. You cannot afford to give teams any reason to pass on you. Max Kepler just gave every team in baseball about 80 million reasons to pass on him, and that's not counting the actual 80-game suspension. For the Philadelphia Phillies, this is a page that has been turned, crumpled up, thrown in the trash, and set on fire. The team has moved on. They have their own significant problems to solve as they try to compete for a World Series in 2026. The bullpen needs work. The lineup needs tweaking. There are legitimate roster construction questions that Dave Dombrowski and his staff need to answer before opening day. But thank the baseball gods above. They don't have to deal with the Max Kepler situation. They don't have to answer questions about when he'll be back from suspension. They don't have to manage the media circus. They don't have to explain to fans why they brought back a guy who cheated and still couldn't hit. The drama, the embarrassment, the public relations nightmare, all of that is now the problem of whoever is crazy enough to sign Max Kepler. And I have a very strong feeling, bordering on absolute certainty, that team will not be the Philadelphia Phillies. This organization has dodged a bullet of nuclear proportions. While other teams might be scrambling to figure out outfield depth, while division rivals like the Mets are panicking about their roster construction, the Phillies can sit back, relax, and be grateful that they let this problem walk away when they had the chance. So here we are, Phillies fans. The smoke is cleared. The news has dropped. Max Kepler is suspended. His career is likely over, and our team is sitting in a much better position than we would have been if we'd made the catastrophic mistake of bringing him back. Sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't make, and Dave Dombrowski just proved that by letting Kepler walk away without a fight. This is one disaster the Phillies will never have to deal with, and for that, we should all be incredibly grateful.